And happy Tuesday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kane. It's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by See-Through Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractors Show, as well as Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. In terms of severe weather today, it's going to be a quiet day. There will be some heavy rain down in south and southeastern Texas, but no severe weather is expected with that. And then as we get into basically the end of our work week and into the beginning of our weekend, we're going to be monitoring the chance for severe weather. So we'll get into at least a little bit more detail on the areas that we will be watching. And then lastly, we will check in on the tropics, as there are a few systems that are ongoing. But before we get into the forecast, we do have one event coming up. It's this Saturday down in Norman. We do host tailgates at all of the home games for OU, and there is one this Saturday. The tailgate will begin at 11 a.m. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. So we'll have free food, free beer. We'll have televisions with the game playing. So these are always a lot of fun. So come on down and say hi to us. Hopefully the weather will hold off. Things are changing. Hopefully it stays dry. We will see. But let's check out our current conditions across the lower 48. For the most part, it's pretty quiet. We do have a low pressure system with a cold front associated with it here in the northeast, giving us a few showers here and there. But we do have another small disturbance down in southern Texas, giving parts of the state some heavier rains. We're going to zoom on in here from Houston all the way down to Corpus Christi. Some heavy rain is ongoing, and this will continue for the rest of the day today. But this evening, it should start to quiet down a bit there in terms of that rain. And then getting on out into the northwest, we do have some rain as well as some snow in those higher elevations. And I believe this is the system that we will be watching in a few days for the potential of severe weather. So it's starting to come on shore now into the western part of the U.S. So here are current temperatures across the United States. Pretty comfortable for most of us. Really, the warm spots are down in Florida with that cold front not quite reaching through or going through the state quite yet. It's 87 down in Miami, but behind that front, a lot of cooler air here with temperatures in the 60s to lower 70s here for most of us in the central U.S., and then cooler here in the Rockies and the Northwest. And then with our dew points, pretty comfortable. The only exceptions are down in Miami again with a dew point of 75. So it's a bit sticky down there in Florida. And then we got some starting to get a little bit more uncomfortable with dew points starting to get up into the 60s along the Gulf Coast. So just checking in on the future radar for parts of southern Texas. You can see as we get later on into this evening, that rain starts to clear out, and we may still have a few pop-up showers here and there, but that heavy rain is expected to move out as we get into later this afternoon and evening. But in terms of severe weather, we are not expecting anything today, as we don't have any instability to, fuel those any storms or anything like that. So today will be a quiet day, and then tomorrow will be another quiet day as well in terms of severe weather. But after tomorrow, this is a new graphic. Andrea has been working really hard on some new things, and this is one of the graphics that she's been making. This is the candy roof graphic, and this is just for temperature and wind. In terms of those two things, not too shabby for most of us for today and getting into tomorrow. Again, if you're down in Texas and into the northeast as well as into the parts of the western parts of the U.S. Those are really the only areas that probably not the best conditions to roof today, but for everyone else, a pretty nice day on tap. Temperatures will be comfortable, getting up into the 60s and 70s as we go through today, as well as into tomorrow. But you can see those temperatures start to drop off a bit as we get into Thursday. So Denver probably on the borderline of maybe not being able to work. I know some that next system that will be moving on through will be bringing some precipitation into your area as well. So again, probably not the best as we get into Thursday, but yeah, overall, not too bad for today and getting into tomorrow. But there is another system that we'll be watching as we get into the end of our work week. So let's check in on our jet stream. So we have a trough moving on through right now, bringing some precipitation again to Texas, and then another trough here in the northeast, bringing some rain for you guys as well. But that's not expected to do anything in terms of severe weather. This is the next trough that we will be watching. And like I mentioned, it's just starting to come on shore right now. And as we get into tomorrow, again, it's not really going to be doing anything. As we get into Thursday, though, it starts to move off to the east. It's going to tap into some warm, moist air. So from parts of Nebraska down to western Texas, we will be watching you guys on Thursday, and then as that trough moves off to the east on a Friday, the risk will be moving off to the east as well. So we could be watching here in Oklahoma as well as down into central Texas for Friday. And then that trough will start to move off to the east-northeast as we get into our Saturday, and then lift off as we get into Sunday and the beginning of our week next week. That will be moving off into Canada, but you can see another system trying to set up for the beginning of our week next week. So here is our cold front tracker. As we get into Thursday, we will have a cold front setting up from northwestern Minnesota down into parts of the Dakotas, Nebraska, down into western Kansas, and into the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. So the warm air will be getting up ahead of that cold front and cooler air behind it, and that moisture will be coming in as well. And this will be the area that we'll be watching for those storms to fire up on Thursday. And then as we get into Thursday evening, it will slowly start to push off to the southeast, and then getting into our Friday morning, very early Friday morning, and then into Friday evening, it will continue to push off to the southeast a bit, and we will be watching parts of Kansas down into central Oklahoma and parts of Texas as well for those storms. And then the cold front will move off to the east on Saturday. Right now, there isn't a whole lot of instability. I'll show you exactly what that instability looks like in just a second for our Saturday. So the chances of severe weather may not be the best, but we will keep an eye on that. And then getting into our Sunday, you can see that cold front will be reaching the eastern part of the U.S. So here are our future dew points. As we get into our Thursday, we are going to see some more moisture starting to return here in the middle of the country. So we will be watching parts of Nebraska down to the panhandle of Texas for that moisture return and the instability starting to build back up. And then getting into Friday, you can see where that dry line will be setting up, and that moisture will be streaming up again for parts of Oklahoma down into Texas for our Friday. And then getting into Saturday, that system will push off to the east here relatively quickly, and then basically kind of stalling out a bit as we get into our Sunday. So here is our future CAPE. This is the instability needed for those storms to develop. This is at noon on Thursday, starting to get some instability building up here in the Central Plains. This is at 6 p.m. again from southeastern Nebraska down into parts of central Kansas down into the western parts of Oklahoma and Texas. That instability will be there for the potential for severe weather. And then getting into our Friday, not looking too crazy for those values, but we could still see some severe weather from Texas up into Oklahoma. Again, this is just one run. We are still a few days out, so things can change. And then getting into Saturday, you can see there's really not a whole lot of instability as of right now for our Saturday. Just a little bit here down in parts of Louisiana. So let's break it on down, basically where that heavier rain and thunderstorm development may be occurring. This is at Friday at midnight. So we are expecting some storms and some heavy rain to develop here with that low pressure system from Nebraska down into the Panhandle, Texas. And that will be moving off to the east a bit here in the central parts of the U.S. If anything, we're going to be expecting a lot of heavy rain with this system, so keep that in mind. And then as we get into our Saturday, that system will start to push off pretty quickly to the east. Hopefully we can maybe get some dry hours here on Saturday for the OU Baylor game. And then as our weekend closes out, we should be quiet. So here are some of the areas that we'll be watching for Thursday and getting into Friday. For Thursday, we'll be watching parts of south and southeastern Nebraska, down into central Kansas and into western Oklahoma and the Panhandle of Texas, so Lubbock, all the way up to maybe Wichita, and just to the southwest of Omaha. This is the area that we'll be watching for potential storms to fire up on our Thursday. And then getting into our Friday, that system will move off to the southeast ever so slightly. So here in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, even all the way down to Abilene and basically all of central Texas, we'll be watching you guys on Friday for the potential for severe weather. So we're going to close out here with some tropical updates. We do have a few systems going on here. I believe that this may be Martin. Yeah, it's Martin. I don't know. I got all of my graphics mixed up. But this is Lisa. There's Lisa here in the Caribbean. She's going to continue to move off to the west and not really hitting any parts of the U.S. as she will be going into Mexico, possibly as a Category 1 hurricane tomorrow evening. And that will she'll continue to go off to the west here. And then maybe I have Martin checked off. Oh yeah, I have Martin again. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I know I had Lisa going on with the other satellite image, but yeah, this is Martin now out in the Atlantic, and Martin's just going to continue to move off to the east, not hitting anything. And yeah, except for maybe fish and a boat if it's even out there. But again, this one's not going to be hitting anything in terms of land, and he may become a hurricane tomorrow evening as well. But again, Martin's not going to be hitting any, land formations. So there's that one. So let's check in on our names. Again, we have Lisa and Martin now. The next one, if we do get anything else, will be Nicole, and here are the rest of the names for this season. And basically, we are now at November 1st. We still have a month left for tropical season. The chances are not zero, though, to see, another storm or two, as we already have 2 ongoing right now. But in terms of climatology, we should start to get a bit more quiet. So that is all I have for you today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our TikTok page. It's going to be quiet today and tomorrow, but getting into the end of our week, we could see some interesting severe weather, so you don't want to miss anything. And then if you have any questions, concerns, if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday.